man. Stop talking about blood. Not everybody's your dad.
Don't talk about my dad.
Hey everybody, welcome to Screen Crush. Ryan's on vacation, I am Doug, and this is all the Easter eggs, references, and little things in episode 7. I'm kind of nervous. I don't really want to do this.
Hey, Doug, it's Colton from Comics Alliance. You want some help?
Oh, that'd be good. Thank you so much. Stupid new guy.
Alright, well, welcome to Screen Crush. I'm Colton Ogburn, in for Ryan Airy. This episode opens with a montage of Jen getting ready for a date with Josh. We met Josh in last week's episode when Jen attended an old friend's wedding.
I still haven't perfected the least awkward way to approach a stranger.
Now, we theorized in our Easter egg video that Josh was a bad guy and may even be the Marvel villain Josh Glenn, aka the Hate Monger, a character who fell down the rabbit hole of hateful conspiracy theories, similar to conspiracy theories and hate speech that you might find on a site like Intelligentsia.
The one for hateful man babies?
Well, we can now confirm that, unfortunately, Josh is a bad dude. Now, when Jen is getting ready for her date, we can see her shut the door to her bedroom before getting dressed. This is likely a subtle fourth wall break because she can see that we, the audience, are present. We then get a montage of Jen and Josh dating and then eventually spending the night together. When Jen wakes up the next morning, Josh is gone and she texts him to tell him that she had a great time, to which he never responds and the waiting game begins. Now, here we can see Jen wearing her new purple suit that she got from Luke Jacobson in episode 5.
I like it.
Of course you do, because I'm a genius.
In her office, we can hear Nikki ask Jen if she is looking at Intelligentsia. This tells us that Jen did indeed get Nikki's voicemail from last week's episode.
We should protect your headspace and let you live your life, but, I mean, you know, obviously I didn't do that.
We then hear Jen say,
Can't even say it to my face because they know they get Hulk smashed.
Now Hulk Smash, of course, is a reference to her cousin Bruce's iconic line.
Hulk! Smash! I think it's gratuitous, but whatever.
Here we can see Jen doing yoga, a reference to episode 1. Now Jen is really stressing over the fact that Josh hasn't responded. On her TV, we can see that she is watching The Great Muppet Caper, specifically this scene that is a perfect representation of how Jen is feeling in this moment. We then learn that Emil Blonsky's inhibitor has been tripped.
We got a malfunction alert on Blonsky's inhibitor.
Remember, a condition for Emil Blonsky's release was that he wear an inhibitor, preventing him from turning into the Abomination ever again.
Mr. Blonsky is prohibited from turning into Abomination indefinitely.
But we know from the mid-season trailer that we will be seeing Blonsky turn into the Abomination again before this season is over. Now, Blonsky claims that the inhibitor may have sent a false signal.
I did get a jolt from an electric fence earlier because my favorite chicken, Princess Silkfeather, was stuck.
It's clear to me that Blonsky is lying. Now, whether he's lying because he just enjoys turning into the Abomination and doesn't want to give that up, or if he's lying because he's up to something nefarious is yet to be seen. But I really hope he doesn't turn out to still be a bad guy because I'm really loving his character.
Oh, you got a text?
Did I?
Yeah.
Where? No.
Really funny.
Next up, we meet Marvel's Manbull and El Aguila. Manbull first appeared in Daredevil number 78 back in 1971. Manbull, aka William Tarns, was given a serum based on bull enzymes. This gave him super strength, durability, and unfortunately made him look like this. Alejandro Montoya, aka El Aguila, first appeared in Power Man and Iron Fist number 58 in 1979. And he is actually a mutant. Now, later on in this episode, we get to see his powers at work when he uses his sword to channel his bioelectric energy from his body.
You've been warned about using bioelectricity in group before.
Now, in Blonsky's group session, we meet even more Marvel Comics characters.
This is Porcupine. He's a porcupine.
Porcupine, aka Alexander Gentry, was co-created by the man himself, Stan Lee, and first appeared in Tales to Astonish number 48 way back in 1963. Porcupine has served as an antagonist to Hank Pym and has been quoted as saying, "If Giant Man is watching, he must finally realize that he'd never have a chance against the unbeatable Porcupine."
Check out all my splinters.
And then we have Saracen.
Thinks he's a vampire.
Saracen first appeared in Blade Vampire Hunter number 1 in October of 1999. Now, in the comics, Saracen is a real vampire, but it appears in the MCU, at least according to Blonsky, that Saracen is not a real vampire. But we know that vampires are coming, with Blade set to release in November of 2023.
Sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman?
Now, this actually wasn't the first vampire reference we've gotten in She-Hulk. Many fans have pointed out that in last week's episode, when Mr. Immortal referred to Baroness Cromwell,
By my first wife, Baroness Cromwell.
that was likely a reference to Baroness Blood, aka Lily Cromwell. She's a vampire who first appeared in Union Jack #1 in October of 1998. Now, we can see in the room that the group session is taking place in logos for Blonsky's new organization called Abominste. Likely a play on the word namaste,
Namaste.
but incorporating the abomination into the name. And then in walks the Wrecker.
Sorry I'm late. I lost track of time in the yurt.
No way.
We then get this awesome fourth wall break where Jen asks if they previously awned him.
Previously on this guy.
Jen is understandably pissed and ready to rip this guy in two, but then just moves past the fact that him and his buddies jumped her and tried to steal her blood. And hey, forgiveness is great, good for her. We need more people like Jen Walters in the world. But why the hell isn't she interrogating this guy about who he works for and why they were trying to steal her blood? I mean, is she just assuming that they were stealing it to make a buck? It just seems like something you'd want to follow up on even after you've decided that you aren't going to beat him up. Now, I really can't tell if this guy is genuinely reformed. I'm inclined to believe he is, but you just don't know who you can trust in this show, with Josh the Jerk and Creepy Todd lurking around. And the Wrecker being at Blonsky's retreat makes me even more fearful that we are going to learn that Blonsky is involved in this plot to steal Jen's blood. Perhaps Blonsky is working with the leader because they all crave to have more of that sweet Banner Walters blood to better their mutations. Speaking of, if you want to check out our new video, it's up on the channel right now talking about who the mysterious villain of She-Hulk is. Now here we got another reference to the attempted stealing of Jen's blood.
I think that we have to start considering the very real possibility that you were ghosted.
Or he wanted your blood.
Now don't worry, Saracen isn't in on any of this. He's merely talking as a vampire or a wannabe vampire or whatever. And when the Wrecker suggested Jen morph from her She-Hulk form back into her Jen form, I was terrified that we were going to see him stick her with a needle and make a run for it.
You can stop using She-Hulk as a protective shield and trust us.
Now, when Jen opens up about how she's feeling, it was truly a beautiful and emotional scene. It really sticks with the theme of this show, which is about Jen finding herself. It's a wonderful representation for the struggles that women go through in the real world when facing all of the obstacles our society still throws in their way. Obstacles that are so far and wide that they can even stand in the way of a She-Hulk. And I mean, did you see how happy Jen was at the beginning of this episode with Josh, only for him to bail on her and ghost her after sleeping with her? This is such a degrading feeling, and on top of that, she'll soon find out that he was only with her to steal her blood. Now, before we get into the final scene of this episode showing how sick Josh is, let's take a look at her contacts that we saw on her phone when the group convinced her to delete Josh's number. We can see Luke Jacobson.
A lawyer.
She's a lawyer.
A lawyer.
That's so cute. I love that. That's so cute for her. This one.
Wendy Jacobson, an executive producer on She-Hulk, and Doran Kipper, who is credited as a lead data wrangler and for additional photography on She-Hulk. And she also has the number for your mom. Now, when Jen is leaving the retreat, we see that the tow truck has arrived to pick up her Prius that Manbull and El Aguila messed up earlier in the episode. Now, we can see that the name of this towing company is Slott, a reference to the She-Hulk comic writer Dan Slott. And the name tag on the driver looks like it may be Dan, or Danny, or David. Let's go with Dan, because then it's another Easter egg. And now for Josh. We get a title card at the end of the episode that says 3 days earlier. It shows Jen and Josh going into her apartment, they sleep together, and then we see Josh getting up while Jen is asleep. He has his phone sitting on top of hers and is copying the data from her phone onto his. We then see him be a total creep and take a picture of Jen sleeping, and then he texts the Hulk King, who we learned of in last week's episode. He texts 3 emojis, the shot emoji, a test tube with green liquid, and a thumbs up. Now, if I start theorizing about how Josh got a blood sample from Jen, we'll get demonetized, so we aren't going to go down that route. And I honestly don't think there's any reason to go down that route, because I don't think Josh was there to get the blood sample. I mean, they teased in last week's episode that they are going to have this new big needle that's likely made of vibranium, and they'll be using that to get the blood. It looks to me like Josh was there for perhaps an even more disturbing reason, stealing Jin's information and taking a picture of her in bed without any clothes on, likely with the plan to SLUT shame her online. Sorry, I can't say the word on YouTube, but hopefully you can spell. So we know that Josh is working with the Hulk King, but they are not only looking to steal Jin's blood. They're also looking to destroy her reputation. I'm guessing that this is going to turn out to be a misogynistic group of dudes who are jealous of Jin's godlike powers and are not only going to steal them, but attempt to defame her in the process, because they're the type of guys who can't stand to see a woman have something that they don't. So that was all the Easter eggs we found for episode 7 of She-Hulk. We only got 2 episodes left, so maybe next week we'll be seeing Daredevil, or perhaps he'll be in the season finale. Please do let us know if we missed any Easter eggs down in the comments below, or you can @me on Twitter. For Screen Crush, I'm Colton Ogburn.